Welcome to Business Reporter's Future of Retail campaign. I'm Rachel Hicks. New privacy regulations around data have forced an overhaul in the way in which brands use consumer data to market their products to would-be customers. The era of fast and loose data, best characterised by the ability of brands to hyper-personalise their content and advertise at scale through the likes of Facebook and Google, is no longer. Now, marketeers need to know their customers and offer a value exchange to consumers to incentivise long-term engagement. So how can brands who previously knew their customers stay in touch? And not only to get to know them, but to interact with them in such a way that they remain loyal in the long term. In short, we're about to discover how brands can turn the unknown customer into the known customer by talking to Richard Jones from Cheetah Digital. Good morning, Richard.
Morning, Rachel.
How have the new technology and new privacy regulations transformed the landscape for present-day online retail from that of, say, a decade ago?
Yeah, well, the era of fast and loose data is definitely ending. I mean, it used to be very easy to hyper-personalize content at scale using platforms like Facebook and Google and a whole coterie of different third-party data integrations. So you didn't really have to know who your customers were in any kind of detail, because those platforms and their data partnerships could do it for you. But of course, privacy regulations like CCPA and GDPR and new consumer attitudes to privacy are actually starting to bite, and big tech is having to actually respond, most notably with the death of the third-party cookie, making it much harder for marketers to snoop on consumers, to know about them, to be able to personalize their marketing. You know, at the end of the day, I'll give you an example. I actually went to have a hernia operation, and I literally came back and was sort of coming around from the meds 12 hours later, went onto Facebook, and I started to get hit by adverts saying, hey, you know, did your hernia operation go wrong? Would you like to call our lawyer service? So, you know, that's clearly an invasion of privacy.
What effect is this having on the ability of brands to build direct-to-consumer relationships?
Well, you actually have to know who your customers are, right? This can't be faked anymore. You need actual relationships to understand your customers so you can ask them about themselves. Now, Google recommends that marketers start to build out these first-party relationships, and they've said that they will support any advertisers that have those first-party relationships. And then the IAB has gone one step further and starts talking about how marketers need to think about what's the value exchange that's going to incentivize consumers to have that direct relationship with brands and retailers. And so they come up with things like, you know, being able to offer free services or personalized discounts. But perhaps most importantly, they recommend building out contextually differentiated experiences where the consumer gets desirable bonus for a certain action, e.g. loyalty programs that feel personalized to that individual.
So is survival down to how much money a brand has for marketing, or are there much more complex processes going on that need to be analysed?
No, it definitely isn't all about how much money you have. If you think about the sheer volume of advertising dollars that put into digital advertising today. I mean, Q4 of 2020 was an absolute record-breaking quarter in terms of the amount of money put into digital advertising. So we're spending huge amounts of money on using the channels that are there today with digital advertising. Now, if you think about what kind of financial return is coming to brands that actually invest in a loyalty program, you can start to see the opportunity. So Vans, the brand and retailer, basically launched the Vans My Family loyalty program and got 12 million members in just 2 years. Now nearly 50% of their US direct-to-consumer revenue comes from loyalty members, and they actually see significantly higher spend from loyalty members versus non-loyalty members. I'll give you another example. Thun, an Italian retailer that sells kind of iconic ceramics, furniture and gifts, got 900,000 active members in their loyalty program just 5 months after their launch, and they see a 60% higher ticket size from members compared to non-members. So there is a significant opportunity to divert money from digital advertising and actually investing in things that build out that direct-to-consumer relationship like loyalty programs, and there's a big payback for those that do.
So what's the solution you're offering to address this crisis for brands in terms of incentivizing direct-to-consumer
so we offer something called the Customer Engagement Suite, and it's the first platform that really puts a value exchange at the heart of customer engagement strategy. So firstly, we have a set of lifecycle apps that help you manage the customer lifecycle that sit on top of what we call a customer data platform. Now, this enables you to put feeds in from every single customer interaction on any channel into the CDP that helps you understand who your customers are. We also have Cheetah Experiences. There's a platform that allows you to offer a value exchange in return for customers' data and their consent, which helps you build your database. We have Cheetah Messaging, which is our cross-channel engagement platform. And then we have Cheetah Personalization that helps you map and manage customer journeys so that every consumer has a personalized experience with you, whatever channel they engage with you on and wherever they are in the customer lifecycle. And then lastly, Cheetah Loyalty helps you define the long-term incentives for consumers to encourage that direct relationship over the long term.
So you say you want to turn the unknown consumer to the known. Exactly how do you go about doing this?
Yeah, so offer a value exchange. That's the way to do it. So things like sweepstakes, quizzes, instant wins, promotions are quite often used as vehicles to actually give that value exchange to consumer in return for them giving you information about themselves, giving you their consent so that you actually know who they are. And I'll give you an example of a campaign like this. So Shell Retail in the UK ran a campaign where if you spent £30 on fuel at a Shell station, you were presented with a 3 million scratch cards that they had, which contained a unique code. Now, customers could enter their code online right there when they're in the shop. They were asked for a small amount of personal information, that's the zero-party data, where it would be instantly validated by the Cheetah Experiences platform and then pushed into Shell's marketing stack. Now, they actually got 285,000 entries in just a matter of weeks, and 67% of the emails collected were actually new to the marketing database, plus the promotion generated about $8.5 million in incremental sales. So you can do those types of things to collect data directly from consumers, to ask them about themselves so that they can tell you willingly and transparently. And then you can augment this data by collecting and analysing all of your first-party data interactions with customers as well. So that's when they go onto your website, what do they look at, what emails do they open, etc.
This is surely expensive. How can brands be sure that their money is being well spent?
Well, I mean, it isn't expensive when you consider that really what we're suggesting to people, in fact, what Google and the IAB are recommending to people, is to divert some of the money that they put into digital advertising into programs that build a first-party relationship. And there is no better way of doing that than loyalty programs. And we've shown from looking at things like Vans and Thun and others that actually you can get about a 60% higher revenue from people that are in your loyalty program from those that are out.
So can a brand sustain itself in the modern age without customer loyalty?
I'd say probably for a year or so, as some of these privacy changes start to take hold and to really bite, it's possible. But the reality is more and more consumers move on to things like iOS 14 has some of these privacy regulations baked in. You're going to see a dramatic drop off in the effectiveness of digital advertising. So really, if you're asking me 3 years from now, will brands and retailers be able to compete without loyalty programs? I would say no.
Richard Jones, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.